Every big win starts long before game day. On any given Monday, we go where cameras don't. Behind the contracts, the calls, and the chaos. We'll road trip with scouts, visit iconic campuses, step inside replay booths, and walk up to the luxury suites. Real organizations, real stories, real decisions. Lace up your cleats, buckle your chin strap. Here comes our GM, Matthew Miley.
Today on Any Given Monday is Mr. Yaw Bonsu. He is a Murrow Award-winning sports anchor and reporter for Buckeye Cable Sports Network / WTVG 13 Action News in Toledo, Ohio. He is a graduate of Hofstra University, where he held 11 internships, including an 11-month stint in ABC7 New York sports department, an eight-month stint in NBC4 New York's consumer unit, a 3-month stint with Fox Sports First Things First, and 2 different stints with Fox News. Also at Hofstra, Yaw was a part-time weekend news anchor for 77 WABC Radio in New York City. Mr. Bonsu is a well-accomplished journalist and still has many more decades of great work to be done. So, before we jump into the rest of this interview, I have one question you may have, or you maybe already know the answer to, is why do I have a Lakers jersey on?
I didn't even see that you had a Laker jersey on right now. Are you a Laker fan?
Well, the reason to have this on is I always do like a little deep dive and try and find the right questions for all my guests. And I discovered that you were an NBA on TNT, Oscar Pope Lift, Every Voice Fellow, where you assisted Turner Sports team with their 2022 NBA opening night coverage of the Lakers versus the Warriors.
Yes.
And you conducted a pregame interview with Juan Toscano Anderson on Inside the NBA, followed by praise from Chuck, Kenny, Shaq, Charles. So my first question for you is, how did that opportunity arise, and how did that interview feel the night before, the day of, and right after?
Yeah, I'll answer how we came about it. So I saw a younger student do it, I think a few months prior. I think it was August of that year. I saw somebody do it, and then I reached out to the program lead and I said, hey, I'm interested in this. And she was like, yeah, thanks for the message. I DM'd her on Twitter. It was back then Twitter, now it's X. And then she said, yeah, just apply when the next round comes through. And eventually in the fall of that year, I think it was fall of 2022. Yeah, fall of 2022, applications came out. I applied. I reached out to her. I said I applied. I did interviews in multiple rounds. I interviewed with Victoria McBride, who's the social lead at NBA on TNT, and executive producer Jeremy Levin. And then eventually I got a call while I was sitting in class. I walked out of class. She said, congrats, you got it. And then she booked my flight to San Francisco. That was an amazing experience. It was really my first big time exposure into sports media. As far as just the days leading up to the actual interview, I wouldn't say I was nervous. I was more so just trying to make sure I did everything right. So, I did my prep and everything. And it's actually funny. I was supposed to interview Jordan Poole, but if all my sports fans remember, that was the year that he got knocked out by Draymond Green.
Oh, yeah.
So they didn't want any interviews with him. So then it switched to Andrew Wiggins. And then Andrew Wiggins didn't work out. So then it switched to the Lakers side of things. And then it became Juan Toscano Anderson. So imagine prepping for 2 different interviews. And at the last minute, it's like, oh, Juan Toscano Anderson. But we had an angle with the fact that he was, I believe, he's Mexican descent. He was the first NBA champion because he was on the Warriors the year before when they won the championship in 2021. So that was a cool talking point and everything. Fumbled on my second question, which is, it is what it is. But yeah, it was how the experience felt. It was amazing. It honestly, it gave me the sudden confidence that if I could do this, then, I could do a lot of things.
Yeah, and it really was a great interview. I watched it
Thank
a
you.
couple
I
times.
appreciate it.
It was good.
I've gotten better since, but for a sophomore at that point, or no, I was a junior at that point, first semester junior, it was cool.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the wider lens in sports media in 2025.
Yeah.
You came into the industry at a moment where the lines between journalist, content creator, and storyteller are all starting to blend together. When you look at the landscape from the inside, what's the biggest disruption you've personally felt in the past 3 years?
Disruption. That's a great question. Biggest disruption, I would say it's either content creators or the influence of an opinion. I'll start with content creators. There seems to be this idea that just because you're a content creator or just because you're interviewing people at like events that makes you a journalist. Being a journalist is much more than that. I can't give you a clear-cut definition of what a journalist is because there are always, exceptions to the rule, but I can tell you what a journalist isn't or what a journalist just is not. And it's not just somebody who interviews people. It's somebody who's going out. It's somebody who's curious. It's somebody who's making packages and store. It's so many things that go beyond the interview. So that's one disruption is people just interviewing people on the street or at events and thinking that they're journalists. You're not. There's so much more that goes into it. Content creators are disruptors too because everybody wants to have an opinion. And that's one thing that is a good thing and a bad thing. Everybody, if you want to share your opinion on something, feel free, but everybody wants to have an opinion. It's wild, and I'm kind of old school in the way that I think about sports media. I think the best thing about sports media is the storytelling. So it's telling the story about the kid who overcame cancer and is now playing his childhood game. It's telling the story about the young man who held a rock paper scissors tournament to benefit the less fortunate.
Mhm.
So those type of things are what separate, I think, the great parts of sports media from everything else. Now there are people whose opinions are deserved, but I don't think everybody's opinion is needed per se. And I've had moments where I shared my opinion too. My opinion is not really necessarily needed on the Patriots and Chiefs, but yeah, those are the two big disruptors I would say. And there are positives to both, but
Yeah.
disrupting, I would say content creators and of course the influx of opinions in the space.
And now young fans consume sports almost entirely through these mini highlights, their TikTok edits and
Yeah.
creator driven analysis. As someone who works in linear TV and digital, do you think this shift is forcing local broadcasters to evolve, or is it something stations are still playing catch up with?
I think it's forcing people, well, both actually. I don't think it's forcing us to evolve. I think we just have to evolve. Because here's the thing, right? 99% of local news stations or sports departments in local news stations do the same thing, right? BCSN, where I work, who's our competition? WTOL. We both do the same thing. We're both getting highlights, grabbing games, and then we're going to read the highlights on air. Everybody across the country does that. But how do you separate yourself from everybody else? Well, here's how you do it with creative methods of being a journalist. That's how for lack of a better term, the industry is forcing us to evolve with streaming and online. How are you going to be as engaging as possible? If you look at I post everything on YouTube that I do, pretty much everything. I try to be as creative as possible with certain segments, right? Whether that's introing a package, introing an interview, I try to be as creative as possible because at the end of the day, those are things that are going to separate you from everybody else. So from that perspective, yeah, the way people are taking in sports is changing, which means we have to change too as far as being more appointment television, right? Or being more engaging because everybody's getting their highlights from ESPN or elsewhere. As far as local news stations, they are playing catch up because they have to adapt to the viewer. And a lot of stations are doing streaming only newscasts. A lot of stations are having more of an online presence. But at the end of the day, the online numbers, to what I was told, the streaming numbers are not where the bosses would like them to be. So it's
Mhm.
still playing catch up, trying to figure out how to navigate that because linear is still going to always be alive because the top most watched broadcasts are always linear. Nothing's a streaming exclusive that is going to be a top broadcast of the year. So you have to balance the two. But yeah, I would say for us, the journalists, we're not being forced to be more engaging, but we pretty much have to be if we want to keep up with the times. And as far as local news stations, they are still playing catch up because things are always changing by the second in this crazy industry.
Yeah. And for you on the journalist side here, now teams are running their own media operations, from the Islanders, which we'll talk about a little bit later, to small high school teams. What do you think that means for independent journalists, and Does it make your job easier, harder, or just fundamentally different?
It doesn't impact the job at all. I mean, if teams want to have their own camera people or video operators, that's fine. It doesn't impact what I do. As long as my spot on the sideline isn't being taken because you want to fill it with another camera person, that's fine. I can still go to the games as normal. Toledo has a bunch of camera people at the games. I still do my job. Nothing that they do is going to impact what I do because we
Mhm.
don't do the same thing. What
Okay.
they do, the people for dedicated to the schools are there to hype up the school. They're there to record footage, to make these cool little edits and post stuff on the official athletic pages and all that. They're not journalists. They're media professionals, or I don't know what the word is. They're video creators. They're something. They're just not journalists. They
Yeah.
don't do what we do. So they're not competition per se. They don't make my job any easier. They don't make my job any harder because we're not in the same lane. So
Yeah. And now you can see kind of where I mean, you said it's crazy, so maybe you don't see where the future is going, but if you were advising a newsroom on designing the sports department of the future, what roles or workflows do you think would be essential, and what does a future-proof sports department even look like?
yeah, it starts with the personality. How engaging are you on air, right? We don't need any more people that are just going to sit there and talk in front of the prompter or talk in front of the camera. We have all of that already. How creative can you be? I'll give you a few names. Darren Haynes, KCAL sports anchor reporter. He's one of the best in the world. Scotty Gange, sports anchor for CBS Denver. He's one of the best in the world. Why are they the best in the world? Because everything they do is engaging and everything they do is creative, right? I was telling my boss this a few weeks ago. The only way I'm going to succeed here is being around other creatives. A creative is only going to be great if they're around other creatives because you can bounce ideas off each other. So this industry is subjective. You have news directors out there that like the people that just sit in front of a camera. You look up sports anchor reporter reel on YouTube. Everybody's thing is pretty much going to be the same. It's just that we look different and sound different. But at
Hmm.
the core of the industry, we're all just talking in front of a camera. But who are the few people that are going to go above and beyond to make a creative segment, to write things in a funny way, to just be engaging, to just be I know greatness when I see it.
Yeah.
I know what I'm talking about when I see it. Like what I'm describing right now, if I saw it, I would say that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
But you don't see that very often. So the newsroom of the sports department of the future, if I was a sports director, you need to be engaging, you need to be creative. Those are the two things. Everything else, the basics, if you struggle shooting a game, we could sort that out. But
Yeah.
creativity is sometimes something that you either have or you don't. If you have it, it can be improved upon. If you don't have it, then I can't help you.
And what's something that people misunderstand about modern sports journalists? Is it the workload, the expectations, the pressure that you didn't even fully grasp until you were doing it professionally yourself?
Something I didn't really fully grasp until I was doing it myself. That's a great question because I've had all the internships, I knew what to expect coming in. I knew the hours were going to be long. I knew I was going to be here alone in my apartment building on Thanksgiving. I knew it's probably going to be the same for Christmas. So what did I what did it take me a minute to grasp? I mean, I guess that you're gonna have to do things. You're gonna have to shake the room a bit. I guess that's the thing, right? Because I'm a creative. Like you look at I think my content's different from a lot of people.
Yeah.
But again, as a creative, I need to be around other creatives, and sometimes I am not, or really I am not. I am not. But I guess one thing that I've struggled to grasp is trying to find ways to improve on my own. You're right. I thought that no matter what environment I'm in, I'm going to get real time feedback and I'm going to get things to improve on each and every single day. And that's not happening. Maybe that would happen in another newsroom, but that hasn't happened in the newsrooms that I'm in. So it's less of a detriment against anybody and more so, okay, yeah. So if you really want to improve, your hand is not going to be held or you're not going to be told things that you could improve on every single day. So what are you going to do? Okay, I'm going to wake up and watch ESPN as much as I can. I'm going to watch NBC pregame shows as much as I can. I'm going to watch Amazon pregame shows as much as I can. I'm going to watch TNT pregame shows as much as I can.
Mhm.
So, from that perspective, That's what I struggled with, is trying to find, or am struggling with, is trying to find ways to improve. And I thought that would be the case, or I didn't think that would be the case, but yeah, that's something that has taken me a while to grasp, is why am I not getting constant feedback to improve? Because I know I can be greater.
Mhm.
All my work, I know I can be greater, but I'm not getting that direction on a daily basis. So I've struggled with that. Just trying to find ways to improve.
And now let's talk about another reflective thing here is you weren't just a student reporter at Hofstra. You were managing more than 80 people, coordinating game
Yep.
coverage for the Islanders, Long Island Nets, Riptide Ducks, and
Yep.
Hofstra Sports. What was the moment where you realized this isn't just like a college club? This is a real newsroom.
Well, I knew it as soon as I came in. Right. I already had my sights on being sports director, but I was just smart enough to not make that vocally clear to everyone.
Mm,
Right. I had said, so when I first transferred to Hofstra in 2021, first person I reached out to was Andrew Bocciagalupo, who was the sports director at the time. And I think if I look back at my text, I think I asked him, what do I have to be sports director? That was a mistake because you should never let your intentions known. But I did that, and then that turned into, rumors and all that. But I mean, when did I realize that this was just, I mean, I always knew it. I always knew it.
yeah.
It's a great role. I always say to myself, politics may be crazy, but you don't know the politics of trying to be a sports director at a college radio station. Those are the worst type of
Mhm.
politics, because the process towards getting there and everything that comes with it, it's crazy. So I knew what to expect coming in. And even the year before becoming sports director, I was associate sports director, so I kind of had a glimpse of
Yeah.
the leadership role and everything. So yeah, I mean, I always knew it. There wasn't like a, man, this is really what it's like moment. It was always building up to that. I felt
Uh-huh.
so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I always got glimpses and pieces of it.
That's a great answer. Now, can you walk me through the most challenging decision you've had to make or you had to make as sports director? Maybe a personnel call, coverage assignment, or a moment where leadership suddenly meant more than talent.
Oh yeah, it's everything. I mean, toughest. It's always the personnel, because past sports directors have always just put the best people on the most games. But my philosophy is, so sports director is always assigning people to games, right? You're doing play by play for basketball, you're doing color for this, you're doing play by play for soccer, right? You have to staff the games. Everybody wants to be on air. And in the past, sports director would put the best people on the most games, which didn't really make sense to me. And the reason it didn't make sense to me was we're all paying customers,
Hmm.
right? We're all paying this blown, overpriced thing to go to college. So we all deserve the same opportunity. So I have a spreadsheet, or I had a spreadsheet, or I still have it. But when I was sports director, I used the spreadsheet. I always tallied each month. All right, how many assignments is this person getting by sport and by role? So that was tough to do, because you had people that would be upset that they didn't get certain assignments and all that, and people that would be pissed off at me, and that's okay. I can't please everybody, but that was definitely tough. And how did I handle it? I mean, you don't. You just, my decision is my decision. And it's not like I was making decisions on my own. I worked with an amazing person named Pete Silverman. I worked with an entire sports board that had to approve my play by play assignments. So, yeah, I mean, was that tough? Yeah, because you have to put certain people in certain spots, and you're trying to make sure everybody eats, and you're trying to make sure everybody's time is being allocated correctly and everything, that somebody isn't getting the most games and somebody isn't getting too little of games. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's tough, but leadership is lonely, not to be cliche, but it was such a fun job, honestly, just being chosen as the person to navigate all that. It was very cool.
Was there a specific early story, maybe a high school feature, a community piece on Long Island, or even late night radio update where these reps turned into your confidence? And was there a moment where your voice started to sound like your voice?
I still haven't found my voice. I'm still searching for that, but if you're asking for an inflection point or a turning point, I would say February 2023. That's when I got hired by ABC7 New York, and I was a junior at that point. It's spring semester, and the
Mhm.
reason that's a turning point is because at Hofstra the TV program isn't great. you're not getting many reps. I mean, you mentioned WRHU, but that's a radio station. I'm a guy who wanted to be on TV, and I needed those reps, and I wasn't getting those reps. I would, after classes or after I was done at the station, I bought a camera, and I would go to some random park and make up a report just so I got the reps, and I used that in a reel. Nobody ever knew it wasn't real because I was just doing it. But I always would do that. I would go to a local park. I would go here. I would go there, and just make up reports. But when I got to WABC, that changed everything because one, that's the most watched local news station in the entire country,
Wow.
which means it's the best sports department in the entire country. So imagine getting to go to my first NFL game because of them. And after that, getting to do a stand up on the field and getting to do a stand up pregame and then getting to do a stand up the next night for Monday Night Football because that was also in the same stadium and getting to do a stand up after that and getting to go interview David Wright, probably the greatest man ever, getting to interview Mike Piazza, getting to interview CC Sabathia, getting to go to celebrity baseball games, getting to go to all these football games, getting to go to all these basketball games, getting to go to the WNBA finals in the Barclays Center. All of these things got me more reps. And plus, they put me in studio. You look up my reel, February 2024, it'll have a whole lot of stuff
Hmm.
from ABC because that was a turning point. That got me the reps, and eventually that got me the confidence to say, all right, okay, I'm getting the reps. All right, maybe I'm built for this. Maybe I could actually make something out of this. So I'm still finding my voice, of course, but as far as a turning point, getting hired at WABC changed everything. And I thank Joe Rapolo. I thank Kristen Thorne. I thank Sam Ryan. I thank Ryan Field. I thank Andrew Wickman. I thank Alex Wilcox. Yeah, blessed.
That sounds absolutely amazing to
Yeah,
do.
it was. It was.
And now a little bit about education here. A little bit. You transferred from Syracuse to Hofstra. How did that move shape the version of Yaw Bonsu that we see today?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely made me more hungry because Syracuse, there's so much to do, right?
Mm.
And it had such a high standard. But I came to Hofstra and that standard wasn't really there. You weren't getting as many reps. The programs weren't the same quality. It's not a journalism school per se. So it made me more hungry because now I'm searching for every little thing I can to get on the air. So I hate politics, but I co-anchored a 3 hour midterms election show. I hate politics, but I did it again my senior year. So, like, honestly, Hofstra made me more hungry because of the things that I wanted but didn't have there. It made me more hungry to go out and get a bunch of internships in the city, buy my own camera, go out into the field and record my own stand-ups, do my own interviews, all this stuff, do my own packages and stories. It made me more hungry for every single opportunity. And to this day, I'm still hungry. I love to work. I don't take days off. My boss will probably hate to hear that if he listens to this, but I don't plan to take a day off. Only day off I've taken since I've gotten to Toledo was to drive to Cleveland and go to a convention there. So yeah, it shaped me a lot because it made me more hungry and it turned me into somebody who has an insatiable appetite for success.
And how important were those early mistakes, the technical mistakes, the performance mistakes, writing mistakes, in shaping how you approach deadlines and on-air pressure now?
The mistakes are important, but realizing how to correct the mistakes are even more important. Because if you don't realize how to fix them, then you're just going to make the same mistake over and over again, and then you're just insane. So the mistakes were important for sure, but it's the fact that certain people were giving me the correct feedback on those mistakes and telling me, hey, this is what you have to do to get to where you want to be. That meant the world. And it was important because it's building me into the person I am now. I mean, it's building me into the broadcaster I am now. I have an opportunity here to improve every day, to be on the air a blank load. So, it's important. It's important because, you know, I want to stay in the moment. My biggest weakness as a person is looking too far ahead, but
Yeah.
in that I have certain goals, and if I want to reach those goals, I can't be goal oriented. I have to be process oriented. Recognize the goal and then tell yourself, what do I have to do to get the desired outcome here? And then follow those necessary steps.
Now I wanna jump a little bit to your New York grind, your era,
Yeah.
maybe I
Yeah,
could
nothing like
say.
New York. Let me tell
Yeah.
you. Let me tell you. I've been because of the internships, fellowships, opportunities I've had. I've been in Hoboken, New Jersey, San Francisco, California, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Las Vegas, Nevada, Birmingham, Alabama. I might be forgetting one. Um, well, out of all those cities, New York City is still the best one. It's still the
Yeah.
best one because opportunity, the opportunity there, the people I've met there, it's unreal.
And going along with New York is their sports fans are so dedicated to all these teams, and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I mean it's a real deal over there. And anchoring intermission updates for the Islanders, it's not easy. I mean, you're talking about a fan base that knows every stat, every line change, every injury. What was your preparation for these nights, and how do you ensure that you were as bulletproof as possible on air?
yeah. I mean, you got to fact check everything, especially pronunciations. Hockey has the hardest names to pronounce.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, because they're French and Canadian and French Canadian and all this stuff. And you got to make sure you have it right because that was going on the air of ESPN New York Radio. ESPN New York Radio. We did it in our studio and then we simulcasted it to ESPN. So this is something. This is something, right? So how did I prep? Well, I pay attention to in great detail to everything I do. So the prep didn't change. But then it's like, okay, once we get the basics down, it goes back to my previous point. How do I be more creative, right? The Islanders scored 3 goals for the first time since 2000. Back then, the number one song was Hit Me Baby One More Time by Britney Spears, right? I would say stuff like that,
Yeah.
and then you would laugh and a bunch and I would rap a bit. So the prep was cool. But once you get the basics down, then it's time to put some juice in there. I'll always put it on my website because I enjoyed those updates wholeheartedly. And it's a great resume line to have because to do that, not many students are doing that. So that was cool.
And you've seen sports media from both sides, the production world at Fox Sports and the on-air world at ABC, WABC, Islanders. What's one thing people don't realize about the sheer intensity behind producing a national show?
Oof. That's a great question. That's a great question. These people are great people. That's what people don't realize,
Hmm.
right? So, Fox News, I loved, I loved my time at Fox. I love all my internships, but I loved Fox News. Why? Because even though I don't like politics, everybody should get the exposure in politics. And there's this idea with Fox News that, it's just a whole bunch of, Republicans and people don't like them and all that. But first of all, I didn't have that notion coming in. And
Hmm.
secondly, the people I worked with were amazing people. They taught me a lot. And this is the number one most watched political TV station in the world. So to work there were so many great people I met, so many great people I got to work with, and they taught me so much, and it was fantastic. And then Fox Sports, people would get on Nick Wright, and they're like, "Oh, Nick Wright is just saying this to get a reaction." No,
Yeah.
he's very genuine. He's a genuine human, and I got to work with him. So I realized how great of a human he is. I didn't think he was just saying stuff anyway just to say it, but yeah, to work with the people, I think that's one thing people wouldn't understand about these national TV stations. Like just because you may not like the content, that doesn't mean you have to dislike the person because the
Yeah.
people are great.
And was there a moment when you were in New York where you felt maybe overwhelmed by the expectation, the speed, the city, the stakes? Did it all hit at once? And if there was some of this pressure, what pulled you through that?
Oh no, no. I mean, I'm a pressure is a privilege type person. And New York City, I was born in Brooklyn. I moved to Long Island when I was 5. The standards are nothing new to me. The way I was raised, there was a high standard in the household as far as school goes. So I just brought that to everything else. I've never felt overwhelmed. Everything that, I've had 2 internships at once. When the fall of my senior year, I was at Fox probably 9 to 5, and then I was at ABC 7 to 11 train ride. I don't get back home until like 1 a.m. and then I have to wake up at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. and go back to Fox the next day. I never felt pressure. I
Mm.
never felt pressure. I don't get stressed out or anything. Now, actually, let me take that back. I have felt pressure,
Hmm.
but I've never let it impact me.
Okay.
pressure is a privilege. I've had a bunch of pressure moments, right? Recording stand-ups or being at the desk at ABC, trying to get through that recording, the pressure to deliver as a leader for WRHU. I have felt pressure, but I've never been fazed by it, you know? Now there are moments that I'm down and then I get mad or sad or something. How do I get through it? You deal with it in a moment and it's on to the next. So, but as
Yeah.
far as like feeling overwhelmed, no, never that. Never that.
Okay. All right. So now let's jump to Grand Rapids a little bit and Toledo. Your first full-time job was in Grand Rapids. Then you took on a larger anchoring role in Toledo at BCSN. What was the hardest part about stepping into a newsroom where everyone else already had years or decades of experience?
I mean, that's what internships are for, right?
Yeah.
They get you ready for those moments. So if I was somebody that had no clue what to expect and I had never used the MPS or never had worked with some of the best people in the world, then maybe I'd be shook a bit. But that's why I grew up in the number one market in the world. I grew
Yeah.
up there and I worked with some of the best journalists in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I know what the standard is and I know what's to be expected every day. So I wasn't just another 21-year-old coming out of school or 22-year-old at that point coming out of school. I was somebody who had experiences that maybe a lot of people didn't have. And that has helped me adjust not only to Grand Rapids but to Toledo. Like you never know what it's like until you're actually in it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say I was 100% prepared, but it sure does help having upwards of 10 internships.
Mm-hmm. And now give me the play-by-play of a typical day for you in Toledo, from morning planning to shooting, editing, scripting, anchoring, and digital posting. What does a full Yaw Bonsu production cycle actually look like?
I wish I could tell you because every day is different. Every day is different. So let's see. I mean, 2 Wednesdays ago was National Signing Day. 3 Wednesdays ago,
Yeah.
7:30 a.m. Perrysburg High School. 8:30 or 8 a.m. or 8:30 a.m. Anthony Wayne High School. Later in the day, St. Ursula. Later in the day, another school, another school, another school. So there, I'm putting together 4 different VOSOTs for National Signing Day, right? And that's all before 3 p.m., in which my actual shift starts. So every day is different. Some days I have to go shoot a game. Some day I have to go shoot 2 games. If it's a Friday, I'm in studio hosting a 3.5 hour show. For basketball, it'll be 3 hours. It was 3.5 hours for football. So most of my days prepping for that. Waking up at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. and going straight onto my laptop and prepping. Sometimes if it's a Saturday, it's going to shoot college football. And maybe I do a rap pack for that, do a stand-up, some sound in there, and end with another stand-up. Or it's I shoot the game and then I come back to studio like last Saturday.
Yeah.
So every day is different. And it's not even like every Tuesday is the same. It's every single day is different. So, man, I mean, it's any combination of that. Shooting, editing, anchoring. It's a lot. And especially us. We have to put together a 30-minute show 7 days a week.
Wow.
And then we also have to do an 11 p.m. sportscast for 13 ABC. Now, most local news stations, you just have your 6 p.m. and your 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
We have to do a 30-minute show plus the 11 p.m. Plus, prior to last week or prior to 2 weeks ago, we were shorthanded. We only had 2 people who were on air all the time. So it's crazy. That's what I'll say. It's crazy, but there are 24 hours in a day, and you make the time to do what you need to.
And in your time here at BCSN in Toledo, is there a specific story in Northwest Ohio or Southeast Michigan that you're particularly proud of, and something where you feel like you elevated the athlete or the community through your journalism?
Yes, there is. So every year we do BCSN honors, and each of us does a package for it.
Yeah.
We have an award called the Tom Reznowski Inspiration Award. I did the story for that. A young woman named Rose Hajar had a heart transplant when she was younger. That heart transplant allowed her to play softball. So I did the story about that. I interviewed Rose. I interviewed Rose's mom. I interviewed the family in which Rose got her heart from. There was a young boy named Michael who passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Michael's heart went to Rose. The family and Rose, the family of Michael and Rose's family stayed tight throughout the years. It just so happened that when I was working on this story, Michael's family flew up for Rose's graduation. So I got to sit down with them. I got to sit down with Rose. I got to sit down with Rose's mom. And I got to tell this comprehensive piece.
That's awesome.
That story, want to talk about pressure? I felt pressure to tell it right because here we have a family talking to me about the best day of their lives, and here we have a family talking about the worst day of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
You lose your son, worst day of your life. You get a heart, best day of your life. Putting that story together, I had an immense amount of pressure. I don't care what my boss. I didn't really care what my boss thought of how I did on the story. I cared about how the families thought of what I did on the story. How did I tell the story in a way that's sensitive but informative? That's clear but makes you feel something.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm proud of that because of the reaction I got. The family loved it. That's it. If the athlete, coach, or family that I do a story on likes it, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's all. That's the only validation I need. I don't care if my boss likes it. I don't care if my peers, my coworkers like it. If my family likes it, I'm sorry, not my family. If the family likes it, if the coach likes it, if the player likes it, that does it for me. And that's the reason I love this job too, is to be impactful, right? I was telling my coworkers yesterday, I'm assigned to go to Michigan, Ohio State, and I know I'm going long on this answer. I hope that's okay.
No,
But
that's fine.
I'm assigned to go to Michigan, Ohio State this Saturday. I don't know when this podcast is going to air, but I'm assigned to go to the game. And I said to my coworkers, one of my coworkers asked me, "Are you excited to go?" And I said, "Not really." He was like, "What? You're not excited?" I'm like, "No." And the reason I'm not excited is because we're not going to have an impact. We're not impacting viewers. The best part about storytelling is impacting people, right? I love high school coverage. I love high school coverage. Why? Because I know the families appreciate it. I like going on Facebook and seeing, all right, your mom liked this interview that I did of you, or your dad liked this story that I did of you. That moves me. That moves me. I posted something about a goalkeeper that did something amazing and had a great interview. I posted the interview on X. I saw that goalkeeper at practice a few days later. He said, "Hey, my family really appreciated the shout out." Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. So it's all about making an impact. It's all about making people feel something. If I could do that, then yeah, I'm doing something right. But there are a few stories that I'm proud of, but that one, I think that was the best story I've ever done. Truly.
And now let's say like sports stories more than like these like a more like personal story. When you think about what makes a great sports story, not a highlight, not a recap, but a story, what are the ingredients you look for, and what's your internal checklist?
Does it make you feel something? Does it make you feel something? Right? We all want to, I don't care if it makes you feel mad or sad or happy or immense joy. Does it make you feel something? That's number one. Because if it makes you feel something, you're going to want to watch more. Right? Number two, does it have great characters? Right?
Mm-hmm.
I say characters for lack of a better term, because nobody that's going through the worst moment of their lives is a character. But does it have people that are engaging? What is the story behind the story? Who are the people conveying this message, right? Would you rather hear from the parents who lost their child or some doctor who had to say, yeah, the person died, right? Like, you rather hear from the family.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another ingredient, the people that you are telling the story about. How are they? How do they sound? How do they sound on air? Third, great writing. You can have all the interviews done. You could have all the footage shot. If you can't, your voice is supposed to guide the story along. If you can't effectively do that, you're not gonna have a great story.
Yeah.
And then great shooting as well. What are the pictures that you're showing that tells this great story? And then great editing. You need great editing too. Because if you're just putting If you're putting things that look jarring or whatnot, then it won't be good.
Yeah.
So those are the ingredients, and that's very flexible because I've seen some of my favorite stories or things that I haven't even been taught that I haven't even thought of doing. But yeah, I would say off the cuff, those are the things that make a great story.
Yeah. And you're part of a generation of broadcasters who have to be always on social media, digital video, reels, Twitter, X, on air. How do you manage authenticity across so many platforms without burning out?
Well, I don't burn out. I'm not that dude. I'm not that dude. I love to work. I will like I've worked 7 days a week, probably twice in the past month, just because we just needed to get stuff done. Um, being authentic, it's not really hard because you're just being yourself.
Mhm.
I would imagine it's harder to be fake than not. I'm always myself, so it's not really hard to be authentic because I'm just being. I'm just living. As long as I just live and just do my thing, I'm being authentic. So social media is all right. I mean, I don't really use Instagram that much. I know Instagram does play a role in people getting certain jobs, or social media does play a role in people getting certain jobs, which is okay. But I post on X, I give my shout outs or whatever. I post my content when I can. I post on YouTube all the time. I post on TikTok occasionally, if not a little bit more. So, yeah, yeah, I think that's fairly easy.
And if you look ahead 5 years, what's a specific skill you want to master that you think will elevate you to the next tier of broadcasters?
Hosting and storytelling. Hosting, me working with an analyst, I want to be able to seamlessly work with an analyst. I want to be able to have a connection not only with little Johnny sitting on his couch at home, but the analyst that's sitting next to me. I want to be able to get the best out of him or her at any time. I want to be the guy who does that. Storytelling, I want to be the Tom Rinaldi, the Jen Latta of this generation. Because those are two of my Mount Rushmore people. Tom Rinaldi, Jen Latta, ultimate storytellers. I want to be the guy that as soon as you hear Yaw Bonsu has more, get the tissues out, get the anger management bowl, get whatever helps you stop laughing because you just know his story is gonna make you feel something.
Yeah.
So if I could be that guy, Lord have mercy. Lord have
Yeah.
mercy. Lord have mercy.
And now let's talk about a little bit of advice that you can give for future broadcasters. So you've participated in fellowships, student projects, internships across the country. What's the real blueprint for getting your foot into this industry today?
Well, I mean, there's so much I could. Well, you need to network. Whoever's listening to this, if you want to get it, you need to network, right? You got to know somebody who knows somebody. That is probably top. You need to know people. And if anybody's listening to this and you don't know where exactly to start, hit me up. 516-655-6929. You could leave this in the recording.
Okay.
You hit me up and I'll gladly be a mentor. Because I'm nowhere without the people that have invested time and energy into me. Every time somebody says, tell me a little bit about yourself, I end it the same way. I say, and I consider myself a product of people who have poured time, energy, and sometimes literal money into me to get me to where I am because it's true. So
Mhm.
everybody who wants to get into this needs to network because that's how you're going to advance through the industry. Secondly, you need a reel. I'm not going to hire you because I think you'd be great on air. I need to see it. I need to see a product, right? If you're at a school right now, or if you're in a place where you don't think you're getting much reps, make your own reps. Here, here's a camera, right?
Yeah.
Set this up, stand up. Like that's it, right? There are certain other things you can do, right? Start your own certain things. Be a true journalist, right? If anybody needs help with that, I'm there too. So those are the top two things: networking and building a great reel. Sub advice: always make sure you look good. Don't have your tie all crooked. Um, you know, don't have lint on your suit. That goes for guys and gals. Just you always have to look good, right?
Yeah.
Make sure your makeup's on point. Guys, make sure you got your hair cut. Gals, make sure your makeup's on point. Just make sure you look good. Okay? You always want
Mhm.
to look your best. So, yeah, there's so much advice. But if you're looking to start, Network your butt off and have a reel. I'd probably have a reel first before you go network, so you
Yeah,
have something to show people when you're reaching out. But those are the top two.
it's great advice. And who were the mentors that shaped you? Professors, producers, anchors, peers, and what are some of the most meaningful pieces of advice that you've received from them?
How much time do you have?
I mean, as much time as you
It's
need.
a long line. It's a lot. That's the thing. Like every place I've been, I've had great mentors, right? Sam Ryan, the value of storytelling. Ryan Field, being personable on air and being fun, being a great newsroom teammate and being funny in the newsroom. Nick Wright, the value of sports debate television. Joe Rapolo, how to produce a great show. Andrew Wickman. Andrew Wickman was the producer while I was at WABC in the tail end of my time there. He came over from ESPN. He would do certain things that I just never thought of. Like he knows how to edit video in an engaging way.
Hmm.
That's what I've learned from him. Roger Anderson, who was the photographer at 77 WABC Sports Department, how to frame yourself up nicely, right? Pete Silverman. Pete Silverman is one of the greatest people I've ever met in this industry. Proper grammar, looking good, pronunciation, diction, economy of words, saying as much as possible while in fewer words. He's fantastic. And again, I could go on and on and on because now I feel bad because I'm going to be leaving people out. Linda Beccaro, Doreen Geiger, how to get people's money back when I was on the consumer unit. Everybody I met at Fox News because that's political talk television. IRTS gave me a whole bunch of friends that I didn't even know I needed. NABJ, I'm an NABJ baby. If you know, you know. I'm an NABJ baby. Everybody in NABJ, forever family. I mean, oh, and then this all started with a man named Greg Kelly. I had Greg Kelly for a class my freshman year of high school called 21st Century Entrepreneur Skills. I never knew I liked school until I was in Kelly's classes. I took his classes as seriously as anybody else. I had him multiple classes in high school. He became a mentor. He's my number one mentor today. Him or Pete, interchangeable. He is amazing. John Mullen, Professor X, Sarah Hendricks. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Andy Gladding. I mean, I could go on. Gordon Skadberg. I could go on and on and on. I could go on and on and on. And that's not to mention the Ernie Johnsons of the world, the multiple news directors that have spoken to me. I mean, I have too many mentors. I'll be honest with you. I have too many people. People at Amazon, people at NBC, people
Hmm.
at CBS. I mean, there are too many names, truly. And I'm sorry if you're listening to this and thought you were going to get named and you weren't. I'm very sorry. I was trying to do this off the cuff, but just know I'm thinking of you.
Yeah, yeah. And now, what is one trap that young aspiring broadcasters fall into that you may see over and over and over that you want to publicly now warn them about?
I mean, people don't want to improve. People are so basic. I mean, again, like people do highlights and then they just sit in front of the camera and just say, "Oh, with the spike, oh, with the kill." Like, show some personality, dog. Like, why are we here? Show some personality. That's one red flag. Show some personality when you're doing things. All right, you're here for a reason, but up the ante. Improve, improve. Right? Watch people. Watch your idols. What do they do to get to where they are? Try to emulate that. Don't try to beat them, but try to emulate the same habits. What else? There's so many things that get me mad. Being creative is the number one thing because everybody's the same. Everybody's the same, Matthew. I'm telling you, you look up sports anchor reporter reel. Generally, everybody's just talking in front of a camera. What are you going to do to spice it up?
Yeah,
Be creative. Be creative, please. Uh, I mean, I would know it if I came across it. It's hard to come up with them off the top of my head, but those are
for
the
sure.
things off the top is just like people just talking and not being engaging or not being. And great, I don't do this 100% of the
Yeah.
time either.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm God. I'm not. Like I struggle with it too, but it's the effort that counts. Try at least to be creative. My gosh.
Yeah. It's someone who I thought of when you said that, like that. Don't say with the spike or with the kill is Gus Johnson, Big
Yeah,
Ten. I mean,
that
he's
brother's
always got
crazy.
yeah,
He's crazy. He's absolutely insane. And you know Gus Johnson because he's Gus Johnson, right?
yeah,
If I turned on the radio and I didn't show you any faces, you can tell who Gus Johnson is.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And now we're probably at my favorite part of these shows is the lightning round. I got a few quick answer, fun little questions for you
But I thought let's
to
get
run
it.
through. All right. What's the most electric atmosphere you've covered? The moment where the energy was so insane you had to remind yourself to stay professional.
New York Jets versus the Buffalo Bills. Aaron Rodgers' first game
Oh yeah,
as a Jet. He ended up busting his Achilles, a little bit later. But him running out with the flag, the stadium was rock. It was only my second NFL game ever. Stadium was rocking.
that's awesome. You've covered NHL, NBA, NFL, college sports, high school sports. Which athletes give the best interviews and which require the most work?
High school athletes usually give the best interviews because they're just like more carefree. Um, who are some names? Mason Giroux was good. Charlie Gardner's great. Jessica Kennelly's great. Molly Malone's probably the best. She's from St. Ursula. Chip Trainum was good.
Hmm.
Jacob Peterson was good for Toledo football. Yeah, I mean, which athletes need work? I mean, most of them, because they give like the cliche answers, but the names I just mentioned are probably the best that I've interviewed, and there are many more. Like Hayden Rodriguez was great. There are many more, but yeah.
And this is something that you kind of hinted on a little bit earlier, and I was like, wait, is he like reading my paper right now? Is you have to make a Mount Rushmore of the best sports broadcasters who's on it.
Yeah, Jen Latta, Tom Rinaldi, Stephen A. Smith because he's the guy. Tom Rinaldi and Jen Latta because they are an example of what great journalism is
Hmm.
and what I aspire to be. If there's anybody I aspire to be, is Jen Latta and Tom Rinaldi. And the fourth, I would go Ryan Fields.
Okay.
I worked for Ryan Field. He is absolutely hilarious. I think he's one of the best in the world, and he's amazing. And he was great to me too. He was great to me too. So Ryan Field.
Yeah. What sports did you play growing up?
I was a soccer player through and through. Soccer
All right.
player. Played 12 years of soccer. It's funny. I thought I loved soccer, and I probably did, but I realized how much I didn't love it because I see what I'm willing to do for journalism,
Hmm.
and I wasn't willing to put that same level of grit, extra hours into soccer. I
Yeah.
love playing soccer, but I look at what I'm doing for journalism and how much more I'm willing to do for journalism, and then I realize, yeah, maybe you didn't like it as much as you thought.
What surprised you most about Toledo when you got here?
I mean, there's no life here. I mean, granted, I've only been here since March, so and I'm a homebody. I don't really go out, so don't take my advice. But it's just quiet here, right?
Yeah.
New York City was lit. Minneapolis, when I was there for a week, was lit. So, San Francisco was lit, but here I'm just like, yeah, it's no life. It's quiet. It's dead. I mean, sheesh. Where's the life?
Yeah.
Where's the life? That's what I'm curious. So, where's the life?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. What is the most overused sports cliche that you never want to hear again?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, oh man.
If you want to name a few, you can name a few.
Nah, I can't think of any right now. There are some though. There are some. Oh my gosh. If I heard it, I'd know.
Yeah.
I wish I remember. It's a lightning round, and I'm definitely getting struck by it right now. Ah,
You see, that's good right there, getting struck by
yeah,
the lightning
you
round.
have to ask me later. You have to ask me later. If I heard it, I would know. If
All
I
right.
heard it, I would know.
What is the worst sports take you once believed you'll actually admit on camera right here?
Oh, the worst sports take that I actually once believed.
Yeah.
That Jimmy Garoppolo was a top five QB of the decade, or top 10 QB of the decade.
Yeah.
I thought
Uh,
that in the 20 from 2010, counting 2010 to 2019, I thought Jimmy Garoppolo was a top 10 QB of that decade.
That is pretty
Yeah,
poor.
pretty
It's pretty
poor. Yeah,
poor.
very, very, very. Or was it the 2020s? Yeah, it was one of those. But I thought he was a top 10 QB of the decade.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Now, here's a hot little debate. Maybe not a hot debate, something that I just came up with. Is bringing mic'd up moments to high school football a good idea or disaster waiting to happen?
that's a great idea. I mean, yeah. By the way, back to your previous question about what makes a good story, I forgot. Nat Sound. Nat Sound. I did a story on a soccer player a few weeks ago
Yeah.
or last month. I put a mic on her through warm-ups. She was talking and all that. I was just like, just be yourself. And she was quite, it was funny. So yeah, being mic'd up, that's a great idea. All football teams should do it. Because remember now, it has to be posted somewhere, but somebody has to edit it. The person that's editing it is not going to be dumb enough to put me cursing at you in the final product.
Yeah.
So it's always a foolproof plan. So yeah, I'm absolutely 1,000,000% in favor of miking people up
Okay.
in all facets.
If you got a personal NIL deal tomorrow for broadcasting or whatever it is, who's sponsoring you?
It's a great question. Um, who's sponsoring me? Marco's Pizza. I eat a lot of Marco's Pizza.
Oh yeah.
Domino's, Popeyes. It's
Yeah.
gonna be a food spot. It's gonna be a food spot.
All right.
Somebody is giving me free food in this NIL deal. It's going to be a food spot. So, or maybe your local Chinese restaurant. I
Mhm.
love Chinese food.
Mhm.
So yeah.
If you could steal one broadcaster's voice for a day, who are you taking?
Wow, that's another great question. One broadcaster's voice, Stephen A.
Yeah.
I could yell as much as I want.
Mhm.
I could debate as much as I want. Yeah, Stephen A. Because when you hear my voice, you know it's good.
Oh yeah.
You know it's good.
If you could call any specific game in sports history, Jordan flu game, Miracle on Ice, or something totally different, what are you choosing?
Well, I hate play-by-play. I will do anything in this industry except play-by-play. But to answer your question, Argentina versus France World Cup final. That is the best game across any sport, across any level that I've ever watched in my 23 years of life.
That I still remember watching that game, and it was like Mbappe had a hat trick in that game, I believe,
Yes.
and it was
Yes.
yeah, that game was crazy.
Yes.
The comeback, and then they eventually lost, and all that, and the shootout. It was perfect.
Everything about it was cinema. The best. First of all, the World Cup is the best sporting event in the world. That's number one. But number two, that match, the greatest thing that ever happened in sports, in my
Yeah,
opinion. In
it
my
was
opinion.
yeah, it was awesome. What's the funniest or most chaotic thing that has ever happened to you live on TV or radio?
Huh. It might have been last week. So we're previewing high school football, and obviously we have to do a tease for the next story. So the tease banner comes up and it says the wheat from the chaff, as in you're separating the good from the great,
Yeah.
right? But I wasn't familiar with the term. So I'm looking at it on air. I'm like, the wheat from the shaft.
Yeah.
And then I was laughing because I was like, is that what that meant? And then my producer comes in my ear when we go to break and starts laughing his butt off. He was like, no, you weren't supposed to say shaft. You're supposed to say chaff. And yeah, it became a butt of a joke for the next few days. And then, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's probably
funny.
the funniest thing that happened on there.
And the final question here is, what are you doing on any given Monday?
I'm off. So I'm probably working. I mean, that is true. I mean, Monday I played video games all day.
Yeah.
I'm playing video games right now, actually. Well, not right now. I'm in the interview, but like before the interview, I was playing college football 25 or
Okay.
26.
26, yeah.
Any given Monday, I mean, I'm probably cooking up something. I like to edit my clips and put them on YouTube, so I'm probably doing something related to that, or I'm trying to scheme up the next story or the next thing to, cook up or whatever. So yeah, I'm always working. I'm always working.
And that's all I got for you. Thank you. Thank you so much for
Man, you
coming
had
on.
some great questions.